PrimeTime asked you if you thought the press was biased during the election.
Dear PrimeTime.
Dear PrimeTime.
Dear PrimeTime Live.
I believe the national press has demonstrated a bias.
Perot has most definitely been a victim of media bias.
Boy, did we get a mailbox full.
The Clinton photograph was obviously so much larger than the Bush and the Perot photos.
Judd Rose follows up on your complaints about unfairness in the media.
You're saying you saw this as a positive photo?
Even your complaints about us.
And yes, I plead guilty to interrupting.
Tonight, meet a man who broke every rule of the street. His videotape became the key piece of evidence used to prosecute dozens of people in the LA riots.
Did it bother you, though, that your brother was on the tape that you turned over?
No, it didn't. It really didn't bother me.
Now, nearly everyone in his old neighborhood, even his own brother, thinks he's sold out.
You know what I mean? It's nothing worse than a rat, man, a snitch. You know what I mean?
Finally, the actress you just have to love.
Some men have told me that I'm appealing, nice to be with, sexy, who knows?
Mary Tyler Moore, the girl with the sunny smile, talks about her life and the cloudy days.
Nobody gets out of this life without tremendous pain.
America's favorite career girl talks about it all, including marrying a much younger man and taking a chance.
And as we walked in, I saw this tall, dark, handsome doctor. And I thought to myself, well, Mary, you bad girl, you.
From ABC News, with anchors Diane Sawyer in New York, Sam Donaldson in Washington, Chief Correspondent Chris Wallace, Judd Rose, Jay Shadler, Sylvia Chase, John Quinones, and Renee Poussaint, this is Prime Time. This man is being called a traitor.
Timothy, the police are after you for the tapes. The gang members are after you for turning in the tapes. Was it worth it all?
When Prime Time continues. From Washington with Sam Donaldson.
We have a story tonight about a videotape of violence and the amateur photographer who shot it. As you may have heard, Rodney King took the stand for the first time this week to testify in a second trial of Los Angeles policemen accused of beating him. But the tape you're about to see is not the one in evidence there. Our tape was shot during the Los Angeles riots that followed the not guilty verdicts in the policeman's first trial. As John Quinones explains, the man who took these pictures is now considered a traitor by many in his old neighborhood.
He has betrayed them and betrayed that community.
That's the lowest type of individual it is, you know? You know what I mean? It's nothing worse than a rat, man, a snitch, you know what I mean?
This is the man they're talking about. Air Force pilot Tim Goldman, a role model in South Central L.A. until that day a year ago. April 29th, 1992. Tim was visiting his old neighborhood after 9 years in the military. He and his brother Terry were cruising the streets with a couple of home video cameras.
It was a nice day, and we were just experimenting with the cameras that day.
Suddenly, there was a verdict in the trial of 4 police officers charged in the Rodney King beating.
The 4 LAPD defendants were found not guilty on all.
Their neighborhood erupted in anger.
I knew at that time that there was something very serious going on here.
Though they didn't know it at the time, Tim and Terry had stumbled into what police later called Ground Zero, the corner of Florence and Normandy, the flashpoint of the LA riots. Over the next several days, while most photographers covered the action from a safer distance, the two brothers documented the seething anger of South Central from the inside.
So that's you right there in the white?
Yes.
Their camcorders captured the massive looting, the bloody assaults.
They're beating this man pretty viciously here.
Yes, he was one of the motorists that was attacked that day on Florence and Normandy.
They filmed the attack on a family apparently lost in the mayhem. A street sign ripped through the car's window. Tim's video revealed a wounded baby in the back seat. They recorded the attacks on journalists and photographers.
Who's this man?
I believe he was an Associated Press photographer, and he was attacked for being out there taking pictures.
And they captured this. Amid all the chaos, a neighborhood minister praying over one of the wounded.
You documented some very severe, bloody violence on these innocent bystanders. How did you deal with that in your own mind?
Personally, I don't like to see anybody getting beat up or attacked, you know, and some of it happened so quickly you couldn't get near and stop it.
Why do you think no one stopped you from filming?
This is the neighborhood I grew up in, and, you know, I felt part of the neighborhood. I'm black, and that was probably the main reason that I wasn't stopped.
After a while, he says, the violence was just too much to take. When the crowd turned on New York Times photographer Bart Bartholomew, Tim set down his camera and came to his rescue.
I come over to try to, you know, tell people to leave him alone and let him go. He was only doing his job.
He says, come with me. He says, I'm going to help you get to your car, but you've got to get in your car and get out of here. He said, the crowd is crazy, and you need to leave this area right now. I'm sure he saved my life.
But Tim couldn't rescue this man, truck driver Reginald Denny. He filmed the assault that came to epitomize the cruelty of the riots.
Was he left for dead at that point?
Oh, he was in pretty bad shape. There were people moving in to help him, but then there was some gunfire and people got out of the way.
While Tim was busy filming, running between the beatings and the looting, he lost track of his brother. But a few hours later, he spotted the familiar face in his viewfinder. There he is, Terry, breaking into a liquor store.
So we're watching everybody looting, and there goes your own brother.
He's an adult. He's got to be responsible for his actions.
You did some of the looting, too. Right?
Well, what is really looting? Just what, going grabbing something? Okay, well, okay. I don't know. They said it was a riot. You know, when you watch TV, oh, it's a riot. I guess, you know, damn, that's what people do.
All's fair in a riot.
Yeah.
Your brother says it was wrong.
He does? Well, see, he got a different mind than me. You know, we're two different people.
Terry and Tim, just a year apart in age, grew up in the same house in South Central. They even shared a bunk bed. But as teenagers, they started drifting apart. Tim graduated from high school, went to a prestigious flight academy, joined the Air Force, and is now a private pilot. Terry had other interests. He dropped out of school, got involved in drugs and crime, and wound up in prison.
All yours. He was out there, he was getting this accomplished, that accomplished. I'm still here going to this jail, to that jail, like that, you know, just still trying to survive.
He now drives a tow truck for a living.
How do you survive?
Me?
Yeah.
Hustling.
Hustling?
Hustling.
After the riots, their differences would drive these two brothers even further apart.
It is a disturbing video shot as the first blows were struck in the Los Angeles riots last week.
With South Central still smoldering, Tim started selling his video to news organizations, including ABC.
Mr. Goldman calling for Mr. Feldman.
His first deal netted $15,000.
I didn't know he was going to take the tape and do what he did with it. I thought, you know, I took it so I could just have something to just watch, you know.
Did you ever think that videotape would be so valuable?
No. If I would have knew that, he would have never got his hands on it.
As it turned out, the TV networks weren't the only ones interested in Tim's video.
On the night of May 8th, a week after the riots, 65 agents from the LA Police Department and the FBI surrounded Tim Goldman's home here in South Central LA. Armed with a search warrant, they went through the house looking not for drugs or guns or contraband. They were looking for, and they found, Tim's video. This would become the key piece of evidence used to prosecute dozens of people involved in the LA riots.
Tim's camera had captured the faces of the vandals, arsonists, and looters.
Did it bother you, though, that your brother was on the tape that you turned over?
No, it didn't. It really didn't bother me because, you know, at that time I knew that they weren't going to prosecute looters.
And in fact, police did not go after Terry. They were interested in the more serious crimes. And by painstakingly studying Tim's video, the L.A. District Attorney's Office was able to identify and file charges against dozens of suspects. Among them, Louis Curl Foster, seen here on Tim's video, beating a motorist. He was convicted of assault with a deadly weapon and is now in prison. Then there was Lance Jerome Parker, caught by Tim's camcorder firing his gun during the riots. He's accused of assault with a deadly weapon. But the most notorious suspects are the three young men arrested and now awaiting trial for the beating of Reginald Denny. Damian Williams, Henry Watson, and Antoine Miller. Miller is seen here opening the door to Denny's truck. Tim's camera captured all three suspects.
What has Timothy Goldman's videotape done to your life?
It destroyed it.
Destroyed it?
I don't got nothing to say to him. I care less about the man.
This intersection right up here was almost totally burned out.
Joe Hicks, the director of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in Los Angeles, says Tim is seen as a traitor to his own community.
Giving up the tape or even filming what went on, he has in fact crossed again that line beyond which you simply can't go, and or in the view of many people in the community, which is collaboration with the police, collaboration with authorities, the hated LAPD.
A lot of people feel that you're cashing in on this and, in fact, turning your back on the community. You were sold out.
Well, some people may want to say that, but I don't see it that way, and I will probably never see it that way.
There's some people who are upset about the guys being arrested. You know, that's understandable. But then there are a lot of people who are sick and tired of gang violence.
Tim's role in all of this didn't end with his surrender of those videotapes. He then went a step further and broke a golden rule of the streets. After being subpoenaed, he agreed to testify against the people he videotaped, the boys from his neighborhood.
He sold everything. He sold himself. He sold his own soul.
He's lesser of a man. I mean, everybody was on that tape. He grew up with everybody. Everybody know each other.
Even though he wasn't prosecuted for his looting, Terry says Tim's cooperation with the law has put his life in jeopardy.
People were sitting out in front of the house with guns, waiting for me and my brother. You know, I didn't like that.
All because of what?
All because, I guess, the tape.
The tapes. Tim has earned nearly $100,000 off his riot video, but they've also earned him a number of death threats from gangs.
Timothy, the police are after you for the tapes. Prosecutors want the tapes. The gang members are after you for turning in the tapes. Was it worth it all?
You know, I feel I can handle this pressure that I may be under, and I don't let it get to me too much.
He now lives in hiding. Our visit with him came during one of his rare clandestine trips to South Central.
What gangs hang out here?
Oh, this part of South Central is Crip territory, and I believe it's the H-Ray Crip territory. And
scary? You're a little worried being out here?
Well, in this area at this particular time, you know, and with what's going on, of course, I'm a little nervous.
It's quite dangerous in some cases to do what this young man has chosen to do. It obviously takes a certain sense of courage to do what he's doing.
What has this ordeal done to the relationship between you and your brother?
You know, although he is my brother, you know, and a majority of those people, you know, the people who were arrested were his friends. You know, I don't talk about it to him. I hardly ever see him. I hardly ever communicate with him.
As for his old neighborhood, these days, the only time Tim sees South Central is from the air.
The sad part about it is that I really can't return to South Central and live a normal life.
Am I sorry that I recorded this? No, I'm not sorry that I recorded this.